Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Happy Sunday evening, folks. Welcome to the Toon Review YouTube channel. We thought we'd bring you a special show tonight. With being a Sunday, Newcastle won, Everton lost. It's time to just chill out on a Sunday evening with us three. We thought we'd do like a special show given, the form of Eliot Anderson, and we'll look at the prospects of what he's got ahead of him, whether it be with Newcastle or on loan again. We'll see where he fits into the team. And things like that, and if he'd be an understudy, and an understudy for who. It should be a really good show. And it's not all about just the here and now. We're looking ahead as well, and that's what this show kind of is about tonight. And there'll be many more of these kind of shows to come. So we thought we'd just mix it up a little bit, I guess, and start doing something a little bit different, bringing you some alternative shows, some interesting ones as well, which create, obviously, good debate. Danielle's having a few nights off, so it'll be me, Alex, and, of course, the Harley-Davidson riding Billy Trey. Susan's done some more stuff with you, Billy, animations, so I will pass them on to you very soon, but they are brilliant, they are brilliant. I don't know where she got the tattoos from on your arms, but, it's
The next step would be leather vests and black moustaches and black leather caps. That'll be the next.
Well, steady on, Billy. We'll not go there. Right, let's just look at a few comments before we go on. Christopher says, loving what Barton is doing at Bristol Rovers. Would like to see them get promoted. Hi, Paul and team. Hope you are all having a fantastic and fun weekend. I mean, what's not to like? Toon won, Everton lost, and see them in 18th place. Glorious. Cesar's backstage. Good evening, buddy. Scouse Mackham's going south. Hello, hello, hello. What we got here then, says Neil. Pickfordosaurus did great today. Can't wait to see Pickford's face when they go down. Wonder how much it will cost them to get out of his contract and how much Sunderland will get from the sell-on fee. Yep, who knows? He can't even do the going up dance. Can't. But hey-ho, listen, Everton are what they are. It's everybody knows how we feel. But, basking in a win, as well. There's a lot of saltiness going on social media at the minute regarding Newcastle United, and let them get on with it. It's absolutely hilarious. Having said that, we have also got players to look forward to coming back. Kellen Watts, who we will focus on another show, he's out at Wigan at the minute, who are top of League One and looking like getting promotion. He's had a very good season by all accounts as well, as he did at Plymouth the season before. I actually thought he should have stayed with the squad this season. But obviously, Mr. Bruce thought very, very different. Hey-ho. But Eliot Anderson, Alex, is somebody who is really making headlines at Bristol Rovers at the minute, scoring some unbelievable goals. Now, you can say all you want about it being League One, etc., but if a player's got talent, he will shine. He shone very, very brightly for me when he came on against Arsenal in the FA Cup at the Emirates, and then he was never seen again. Why do you think Bruce never put him back in?
Well, it was the state of the toxicity of results of the team, the energy. I think he was just trying to use the older characters who had more experience to just try and dig himself out of the hole he'd created. There wasn't any room to put youth about, unfortunately. Mm. There was no room for experimentation because of how dire the situation was.
But would it have been experimental? Because he seemed to come into that game and he was absolutely fantastic, Billy. I mean, you're nodding your head there when you remember that game, because he did make a difference when he came on. And, we were unlucky not to win that game. I remember Andy Carroll had a glorious opportunity to win it. but he seemed to control the when he came on in midfield. He was pushing forward. He was doing everything that some of the senior players at the time just weren't doing.
Yeah, he was very bright. He came on and he kind of outshone the Arsenal youth of that time. You know, the Emil Smith-Rowe and people like that. He was outshining all of those players. Played as a cam, contributed to the chances we contributed for ourselves. We made for ourselves. Like you say, Andy Carroll should have scored. We should have won that game, and he would have contributed to a great win had we have done so. But after that, Steve Bruce. That's all I can say. Steve Bruce.
You know, for me, I mean, Steve Bruce. You know, he wasn't going to give anybody an opportunity. And, you know, like I said, Alex, this season, I thought Elliot would get an opportunity in the first team squad. I think he was certainly good enough. But, you know, maybe, you know, looking back, it's been a good move to him to go to Bristol Rovers. He certainly excelled and is, you know, getting rave reviews down there. Joey Barton has said many, many times what a fantastic player he is to work with on the training pitch as well. Now, getting those kind of reports from Joey Barton and the staff at Bristol Rovers surely is only going to put him right in Eddie Howe's head.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't think it was any fault of his own that he got loaned out necessarily. I think he's a very respected talent. If you look at the average age of our squads in recent games, it was the previous one, the Palace game was 28.8 or something, and then Joe Willett came back into the team against Norwich, and obviously that dragged the average back down to sort of 26 point something. So Howe has deliberately gone for more experienced heads. That's what we've got. A lot of the lads who are between 27 and 30 years old to try and steady the ship. And we've got splashes of 25-year-olds in there with Maxi and Joe Linton. I think it was more about the fight of relegation, consistency, focus, improving the focus and concentration in the final 15-20 minutes of games. It wasn't that Anderson had done anything wrong. I don't think it was purely the rawness and age of him. I think it was the right move because he's the pressure is off. He's allowed to go and display those talents further up the pitch in a more possession-based side because they do tend to have a little bit more of the ball. They're a very strong team in the league, in the 5th place right now. And if the 2 more games to go, if results go their way, they might just sneak into automatic promotions, which will be interesting.
Now, a lot of people are saying that the rumor has it that he's going out on loan to a championship side next season. I don't know where that rumor's come from. You know, obviously media speculation, etc. In your own mind, Billy, if he's had the season he's had at Bristol Rovers, would you give him a little bit of time to maybe see what he's going to do in the first team squad? Because if we're going to get, you know, some of these players that have been banded around, and you know, we know we're going to improve the squad. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. So we're going to get better players than what's already there. Now, if a player like Eliot Anderson comes along and he's a young kid, can he learn from them immediately, or would you send him back out on loan?
I think you've got to look at him at pre-season first, haven't you, and see how he blends in with the squad at the moment. And if he's obviously not quite up to the scratch of what these new players are going to be, then you give him a season down in the Championship, and there's plenty of takers for him down there. So I want to come back to the point of why he didn't play after the Arsenal game. After that, of course, Graham Jones came in, changed the system around a little bit, and also we signed Joe Willock, which kind of pushed him down the pecking order, and even took him off the subs bench. So, I mean, there's plenty of clubs that want him in the Championship. Lots rumoured to be interested in him. I think a season down there won't do him any harm whatsoever, and it will probably enhance him, in fact.
Well, apparently there's been a few clubs, Alex, already making sort of inquiries about a loan deal for next season. I think Reading have certainly made an inquiry.
Well, there's a few that have inquired for a permanent transfer, which is quite a little bit concerning. Obviously, we've got no reason to sell him, but
I mean, selling him would be criminal in my opinion, because you know he's come through our academy, and you know we want to try and bring some of these players through. Surely, you know, it's not just like, oh, just because we're the richest club in the world, etc., doesn't mean that we can't look to our own academy and bring that on, because we know the new owners are wanting to step up the academy. They're wanting to rebuild everything, including the ladies' team, etc. So it would be criminal to sell him permanently, which I really don't think Eddie Howe would even give the go-ahead for that. We've got Bruno Guimaraes in the chat, guys. He says, thank you so much for the love and support, my friends.
You're welcome, Bruno.
Very welcome, Bruno. Darren, good evening all. That intro gets more fitting after every game. Indeed, it seems to do. And remember when we first heard that intro, Billy?
Takeover night, wasn't it? When the takeover started?
The night before the takeover.
The Tuesday, yeah. The Wednesday, yeah.
The Wednesday night, yeah. That was the first time that
my birthday.
We put it on. Well, it was the first time I played it on the channel. It got fantastic. Obviously, it was used as the countdown then, but now I managed to blend it into the actual intro.
It was everyone's birthday that night, wasn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
Well, mine was certainly it got announced on the Thursday. It got finalised on the Thursday. Yeah, it was my birthday on the Wednesday.
I think the Wednesday night was incredible though because of the sheer excitement and everybody. The mainstream media were reporting it was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. Whether it took sort of 24 hours or whatever it was. But the main people were saying it's done, or it's going to get done. And it certainly was a birthday night for Danielle. The amount of champagne she seemed to drink that night, Billy, it was incredible. But you know what? It was a fantastic, fantastic night. And those kind of things, we can, they are saved on the channel forevermore. So you can just, you can go back and watch those and just with a big smile on your face and think, wow. But what I would do is if I was anybody that's watching who hasn't seen those shows, go back and watch the fan forum on the Tuesday night, the day before, and everyone's life was over. And then suddenly Wednesday night, we're all gleaming. Danielle's absolutely hammered. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Ian says, evening, folks. Great seeing Scouse Mackems in the bottom three rather than us. Donny van der Beek. Oh, Donny. Yeah, he's made a complete fool of himself. We know that. Joey says, what a weekend I had. Went all down to Norwich and watched the team play so well. Yes, indeed. Evening, chaps. What a great weekend for the Toon. Every game result fell our way. Yeah, and well done to Burnley today, by the way, because they played their hearts out today to get that result. And it's incredible, really. It's one of those teams that you kind of think, right, I want them to go. In a way, I wanted them to go down because of what they did to Sean Dyche after what he did. But then again, if it's Everton, it's got to be Everton. But anyway, I digress. Tonight's all about Eliot Anderson. So what are his sort of performances for Bristol Rovers this season, Alex? I mean, what stats is he showing?
Yeah, so if we have a look at just some recent performances, we can go back to we can go with a good one in which he scored. So Port Vale was a recent performance. So typically, they will set up in a 4-2-3-1, which is a formation that's rumored to be maybe what we're going to move to in the future, possibly an aggressive 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, and try and dominate the ball more. Which Eddie Howe keeps talking every press conference. He talks about this more and more and more. So he typically plays on the left side of that, where Maxi would typically play for us, but he does also play centrally. So he plays in a 10 role or on the left. Yeah. So versus Port Vale, he actually scored in that game quite early on. They managed to turn over the ball in a high press in the final third, similar to how we play. So it almost sounds like this loan was planned on purpose because of how everything works.
How many goals has he got this season at Bristol Rovers?
He's got 9. What is he on? 6 goals, 3 assists.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 9 goal contributions from 18 starts.
That's incredible.
So yeah, they won the ball on the right side with a high press. The ball gets nice and quickly shifted over to the left side. Little through ball. Elliot makes a nice run on the left wing, drives into the box, beats his man. Left-footed shot into the roof of the net and the near post. And he's right-footed as well. So he was quite happy to take that on his wrong side, bury it in the roof of the net. He's very, very confident at taking shots in front of goal. He is averaging 3.3 shots a game, which is pretty tidy. He's very, very confident at just letting them fly. And in that game specifically, so this is a number you guys need to remember: 7 duels won, because there's a theme here, and he drew 3 fouls as well for his team. So he's very, very terrier-like. Again, you mentioned him at Emil Smith Rowe earlier on in the show. Similarly to Dewsbury Hall for Leicester, he has got that little kind of "I'm going to fight for every ball" attitude, which we love in the Northeast. So it is lovely to see him play in that way. And they ended up winning that game. 4 ball recoveries. And just to put into perspective his opposite number, that was Nathan Smith, who was his opposite wing back. who is an experienced wing back, 6 years in the Football League, and he got a measly 5.8 rating that day because he got ripped up by Anderson. So he wasn't just doing it against another sort of scrub or a younger player. It was an established Football League defender, and he put him to shame with a 7.3 Sofa score rating that day. Did very, very well, and that was just one of the recent matches. We've got a few more written down, but that's number one.
Keith Dice, thank you very much for your $10 super chat. There's no comment, but just a $10 donation. Thank you so much. Ginger says, I don't see what's getting time, not with the 3 centre backs we are linked with, but that's just the future of this club. I don't see a kid being in the team till the quality get top level. Yeah, but at the same time, I think we can get a mixture, Billy. Elliot Anderson will certainly, be wanting to stay. I would have thought be wanting to stay with Newcastle and be part of this rebuild and winning things and even if he's just part of the squad to start off with and force his way through, because eventually that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to prove to Eddie Howe and the coaching staff that he is good enough.
And even if you look at the top 2 clubs in our country at the moment, which is Liverpool and Man City, Liverpool have got a core of young Liverpudlians. Manchester City have got a core of young Mancunians, young Lancastrians, Northwest people. So you definitely need a local influx of players, and if they come from youth, all the better. You don't want to be. You need to have an established kind of youth setup where you can get the local people into the side, because of course that brings in more fans, and then you don't get the money spent kind of criticism level at you that much, do you? You do want a local influx, and we used to have that all the time.
Yeah,
not had as much lately. It's time to get that kind of thing back. But it will help us. It definitely will help us in the long run. Absolutely will.
Yep. Dylan says, I keep an eye on Bristol Rovers due to having family down there. He's had a great time. He reminds me a little bit of Grealish at times in terms of play style. I tell you what, if we've got a Grealish in the making, I'd be happy with that, Alex.
Yeah, it doesn't tend to be, well, he doesn't typically seem to be quite as dribbly in terms of successful dribbles. Although in the most recent match against Forest Green Rovers, who are top of the division, he did complete 4 successful dribbles. So he is he's a very raw hybrid blend of several different things.
Yeah,
he can play a bit wingery like Grealish, but then he plays a bit like Dewsbury Hall for Leicester, and then he's got different bits of his game that seem to come from other areas. So it's interesting to see where his final position could be, whether it's going to be an attacking midfielder or a winger. It's not immediately obvious to me right now because he's got quite a lot of attributes, and we'll see. He's only 19 years old, so he'll be 20 in November. So if we keep him for the season, he'll turn 20 mid-season.
That's the exciting thing for me is the fact that he's still only 19. He's got a long way to go yet, and he can only get better in my eyes. Seattle Geordie, thank you for your $10 super chat. Very kind, thank you. He says, was going to send this yesterday, but was wiping my face in a bull's arse. Great commentary, what a game. Sorry I'm a day late, but not $1 short. Cheers, matey, thank you very much. Derek says, I see West Brom are looking at Anderson for loan next season. Will you really want to play under Bruce? Woodman's loan spell has been a disaster. Yes, it has, but we'll come on to Freddie Woodman, I'm sure, in another show. But West Brom is surely not an option because, Steve Bruce, didn't want to know him when he was manager. He put him on a substitute, never seen again. And then is he the type of manager you want to send Eliot Anderson to try and progress under?
No, I mean, definitely not.
It's ludicrous, isn't it? When you see it that way. I mean, Billy, if you wouldn't have any faith in Steve Bruce getting this lad to the next level, would you?
Absolutely not. For as much of his style of football as anything, he's a hoof merchant, and he wouldn't get selected. There's plenty of clubs in the Championship that are after him, including my local club, who the manager Mark Robbins got a fantastic record with young loan signings, and he plays them all. They all go back, better players. Yeah. And then the next season, the people like Chelsea keep loaning Coventry City players because he brings them on. So someone like Coventry would be ideal for him. Absolutely ideal for him.
Yeah. Foxy says, you take Anderson with you on the pre-season tour and see how he does. If he impresses, he deserves a chance. If not quite ready, get him a top loan move for the new season. That is exactly what we're saying. That would be a perfect way to do it, of course. And Obviously, we don't know where we're going in pre-season yet, but America has certainly been mentioned. I think Minnesota, I've heard as well, it could be a possible destination.
Yeah.
But
and there's no pre-season tour either, so we'll have the whole squad there for him to fully assess.
Yep. Derek says Bruce has more chance getting his hands on Hans Christian Andersen than Elliot. Yeah, I agree. Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be a great player for Newcastle to buy in the summer. We are going to be doing transfer shows. In fact, I think me and Alex are doing one tomorrow night, looking at possible money transfers. We shall see. Very good evening, everyone in the chat. How are we all tonight? And to Paul and Danielle and Alex and Billy.
Hi, Paul.
Sandos says playing week in, week out, even in League One, builds a lot of game maturity and experience. I say give him a chance next season for sure. Look, I mean, Bristol Rovers, I mean, I don't know where they were in the league when he went down there, but I think he's certainly, turned things around for them, because Bristol City weren't near the top of the league as far as I remember when he went there. And he's done a fantastic job. I mean, would you say he's the main man down there, Alex, at the moment?
He's very important. I mean, Bristol Rovers. Apologies for the Rovers fans. Bristol Rovers is points per match. It's because I've got the word City written down on my notes next to.
Yeah, but I think Annie would rather have Elliot Anderson at Bristol City than Rovers, to be honest.
But with him in the team, they're averaging 2 points per match. And their goal difference with him on the pitch per match is also 0.91. So every game with him in the team is basically a 1-0 on average with goal difference. So with him in the team, it's similarly to some of our lads in recent history. When we've had people fit, we win games. When they've not been fit, we don't win games. It seems to be how it is with him. But since he came into the team, he came on as a sub, and then since then he's pretty much played every single match. So he's been integral to their rise up the table. They just can't stop winning. They've had a couple of draws, and then they managed to draw with Forest Green at the top of the league as well. So and dominated possession in that game, may I add.
Forest Green have had a great season as well. So that is really good for Bristol Rovers. I mean, Ian said here that we should make Bristol Rovers our feeder club and send some of the future youth players or players out of the 25-man squad to prove their ability. Joey Barton will take no prisoners. I mean, Joey Barton, I mean, listen, he's had his faults, Joey Barton, over time, and he's working his CV up as a manager, isn't he? I mean, was it Fleetwood he was at before Bristol Rovers? I think he did a decent job there, and he's certainly changing the fortunes of Bristol Rovers. He's obviously scouted well to get Eliot Anderson in. He's obviously looked at him and thought, yeah, he could be a real asset in the middle of the park for us. And it seems to be going that way, Billy, that maybe that the older Joey Barton's getting, then the more mature he's getting. But he seems to be, gelling into quite a decent manager.
Well, we know Joey Barton sometimes goes over the top, both on the football pitch and off it. But his comments about Elliot Anderson was he's been listening to Bill Shankly tapes a lot lately, and he was talking about a 19-year-old Diego Maradona and how he slows down in the penalty area, exactly like Elliot Anderson does. So he's kind of comparing to a young Diego Maradona at one point there.
Yeah.
But whether that's over the top or not, who knows? But yeah, he's been a good manager for Bristol Rovers. I think a really good manager. The thing is with Joe Barton is you never know when his temperamen's going to take over him, do you?
Well, you don't, but he seems to be holding it together at the minute, and he seems to be. And let's face it, he's doing what Newcastle want, i.e. the fact that making Elliot Anderson sort of the main man there, and he's giving him plenty playing time, and the improvement in Elliot is there for us all to see. I'm a little bit tongue in cheek here. I think the next step would be send him on loan to an ambitious Championship club, maybe Everton. And he should take him at Bristol City. They need all the help they can get. In all fairness, someone like Bristol City under Nigel Pearson, I think, wouldn't be a bad idea next season if they were to send him on loan to the Championship. I mean, whether Nigel Pearson's there or not next season, we don't know. I mean, that still has to be found out, but we'll see. Oh, Susan's changed her name. Look, Mrs. Toon Review. Hey,
brilliant.
Get in. I'm pleased. Bless her. Luke says we should sign James Ward-Prowse from Southampton, and give them 30 million in Hayden. something to talk about in certainly in a future transfer show. Ken says, if Bristol Rovers are promoted, would it be worth leaving him with Joey Barton for another season? That is a good point, because they will. Bristol Rovers League 2 at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah.
So League 1 would be a kind of step up for the club and for Eliot Anderson for what he's been playing this season. But do you think, Alex, maybe that he should be looking at, if we are going to loan him out again, then maybe to a Championship side? Or would you possibly look overseas to one of the top leagues overseas?
Well, I mean, I've got this written down about loan structure as a whole. I mean, that's a great point. You guys have touched on that briefly about how we need to start. If we want to be one of the biggest established clubs in the world, we need to start doing everything detailed. Everything. I mean, he was talking in his interviews about fitness coaches and sleep coaches, even though, they were laughing that off with the journalists. He's not joking. If we want to be one of the biggest in the world, we need to look at that. And the loan systems and affiliate clubs are very, very important. So loaning your young players out to teams who play a similar way and have a similar philosophy is important for their development, not just throwing them about the football pyramid or staying in the same country necessarily. Mm-hmm. So it's important for us. I'm unsure whether I would like to think that he went to Bristol Rovers on purpose as a plan. It looks like it because of the way they set up, the way they play. I think that will have been chosen on purpose because he likely would have had several suitors because he's a very highly rated young man even before the loan. So we do need to continue this. Whether it's abroad, I'm unsure about that because obviously it depends on, especially the physicality of foreign leagues at a younger age as well, and the pace. There are questions regarding that. Obviously, everybody always mocks Ligue 1, but it seems like a lot of people have done some studies on this recently, and it does seem like Ligue 1 is actually stronger physically than the Bundesliga, which surprised me. So we do need to have a look at the loan system as a whole, and because we don't really have any clubs around us. Obviously, we're not very friendly with Sunderland and people such as both of the Shields and Gateshead are a little bit too far down the football pyramid to be of use to us. No disrespect to them, but if we want our players develop for the Premier League, it's too much of a step. So we do need. It's something we need to dig into because it could be a big thing for us.
Definitely. Just touching on the game today between Liverpool and Everton, Christopher says, did you see Alisson take the piss out of Pickford today, deliberately holding on to the ball? That was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. And the fact that he managed to keep a straight face and not laugh when the whole Liverpool bench was in absolute stitches laughing, just took the absolute mickey out of Jordan Pickford for what he was doing in the first half. And listen, it's wrong. Jordan Pickford was wrong in what he was doing, especially when he went down and then he sort of gave that stupid smile. He got his comeuppance big.
And a wink. A wink as well.
Yeah. Cold Slushy says, seen this kid play a few times this season down the gas. If Rovers go up, would be good for him to stay for another year. It's interesting because I'm sure the Bristol Rovers fans would be delighted if he was to stay for another year. He's certainly he's got what it takes to certainly play League 1, never mind just League 2. But it's where
I'd prefer Championship to be fair.
Yeah, I think I would
it's
as
enough
well.
Of a step up because there's not much of a difference between National League and League 2 because of the way the promotion works. So, and without the form, Rovers weren't near necessarily at promotion strength, so maybe.
I think Championship, or like I say, another top league abroad, somewhere like France, or someone where he can really stand out and come up. But it has to be under a good manager. I think Newcastle United have to do the homework when it comes to sending players like Eliot Anderson out on loan and make sure that they are going to a really good manager who has been known to develop players.
Lyon play a 4-2-3-1. If we want to sweeten the deal with Paqueta and see if they want, young player, they can.
That's not a bad shout. Yeah, not a bad shout. Derek says, Paul says Susan changed her name. Should I buy a hat for the big day? Don't know when the big day is, but there will be a big day. We are engaged, but I don't. Who knows? A big Toon review wedding. It could be on the cards. So get your hats. Darren said that's a class return from. Well, a magic hat, yeah. I'll just borrow Bruno's. That's a class return from Anderson. Like, I would like to see him loaned to a newly promoted club next season. Suppose if you're good enough, you're good enough. So would be interesting to see. I don't want him going out to another Premier League team. I think you know, we don't want that because just because I'm being a stingy git here. I don't want him to go into anybody in the Premier League. I'd rather see him either in the Championship or abroad in the top league over there to bring him on a bit more. What else do you want to sort of say about him, Alex? Because I know you've got some stuff there.
Yeah, so just the differences in his play. So versus Salford, at the time they were 8th in the league, so again no pushovers. And Salford at the time of the match had a plus 16 goal difference with 19 wins. So he's not playing against pushovers. So Rovers managed to have 58% possession, and he played in a 10 as this match. So behind the striker, so played centrally. And his heat map is for some reason all over the right-hand side of the pitch, which is why you talked about Joey Barton. I'm really impressed with Joey Barton when I've done this research, because I really love he changes his formations up, he plans very well, and I like what I see. I've only watched a couple of Rovers games, like the full 90 minutes of them this season, but so that seemed to have been on purpose, because their left back had a shocker with a 6.2 rating, lost the ball 24 times. Ibu Toure, only two duels out of 11. It seemed like he was getting hassled a little bit, and he's 27 years old and just made 4 appearances for Gambia and AFCON, so he's no pushover either. So he was harassing people. 7 duels won again, drew 3 fouls, same as against Port Vale. Got a 7.4 on the SOFA score. 70 touches. He had 2 shots blocked, 2 off target, 1 on target, key pass. He's just everywhere. He's absolutely everywhere. He's just a fly, just constantly harassing people. So it looks good in game. It looks good in highlights. It looks good on paper on the stats. It looks good across the board. And then in a game in which he didn't score or assist was the Forest Green Rovers game, which was a draw. And Joey Barton actually changed to a 4-1-4-1 and put Eliot Anderson out on the left mid. And he still bossed it. 8 duels, 7 ground duels, 67 touches, 2 key passes, 4 out of 5 dribbles. So against the best team in the division, he was still holding his own in terms of dribbles, getting stuck in. He looked the part. He was doing all right. And Bristol Rovers did, despite them having 15 shots apiece, Bristol Rovers did have 67% possession in that game. So he looks more than competent, more than good enough. One of the better players in the division for League Two. So there is definitely a step up.
It's his utility, I think, that I like. You know, the fact that he can play sort of left side, middle.
Well, this is what we're going to move on to. Is where does that translate to us?
Yeah. Foxy says we haven't really developed top youth players for a long time now. With the takeover, the youth facilities, coaches, training will all improve. More youth from overseas. We won't see the benefits for a while. Yeah, that's understandable. You don't want to put too much on a young shoulder. These young gems should always be eased into a squad. Darren says, Christ, I hope he doesn't go to West Brom and get bruised. Yeah, the Newcastle will not be so stupid. Ash says, Coventry are looking at him. At Anderson, also O'Hare going to be sold for $5 million. He's their centre attack.
Callum O'Hare, yeah.
So he could be a straight replacement for him. And you just said, Billy, the Coventry might not be a bad place for him to spend next season.
He's got an excellent record with loan signings, and they played the football in the right way as well. It suit Elliot Anderson down to the ground, from what Alex has been saying about his qualities. Like,
yeah. I mean, you know, the question is, like you just said, Alex, you know, where would he fit into Newcastle United? I mean, we can't really say for definite now, because obviously we don't know who we're going to sign in the summer. We've already touched on the fact that we expect to bring in more players in the summer. In fact, I think that'll just happen anyway. But would he be an understudy? If he's an understudy, what position would that understudy be? I mean, where would you play him, Alex?
Personally, I'd have him as a maxi understudy.
Right.
Obviously, Ryan Fraser's favourite position is on the left side, but if reports are to be believed, we are going to let go of wingers. We have Almiron and Murphy. It's widely reported that we're going to let one of them go. Possibly, some people think we're going to let both of them go. It depends on the summer. It depends on contracts and what the players themselves want to do. So I think there will be some space. We will want to develop talent, and we will want to go further in the cups this year, because there's 2 cups we're going to try and compete in, and it would be nice to play strong teams in the cups and put a bit of youth in there. And I think it's perfect for him to be an understudy to Maxi, because Maxi gets knocks sometimes based to his energy and his pressing. He has to come off at 70, 75, 80 minutes, and also you could, against sort of in a position we shouldn't hopefully be fighting the season that we've had just now. So later on in the season, it might be possible for us to start some of these younger lads, just because we don't need to put everybody out. If we're playing a newly promoted side, or a side in massive poor form, or a side who have a very bad right back, for example, then he can potentially get more games. He can get more sub appearances, more starts, and some cup appearances. Again, it depends on how much we think we can give him game time. If it's any less than sort of 10 starts or 10 appearances, you're probably looking at sending him out on loan. But if we think we can get him on the pitch enough, then keep him, sort of a Foden at Manchester City. I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about game time and how that was managed.
But by all accounts, he has got this kind of Phil Foden about him, hasn't he? I mean, when you look at him play, he's a very. If we were to sort of compare him to somebody's style of play, I would sort of look at the Foden of this world, because, and let's face it, Pep's done a brilliant job with Phil Foden, hasn't he? I mean, he could have loaned him out, but he kept him around the first team, put him on the bench for quite some time, giving him game time in the cups, or coming on a sub in Europe and things like that. He's done a fantastic job with him that way. So why not do the same with Eliot Anderson? Steve Bruce has a decent record with a few young players. Robertson, Maguire and Grealish are some examples, but his style of football is different. Send him to Swansea or Coventry. Listen,
Grealish isn't a good example. He wanted to swap him for Jordan Rhodes.
Yes, he did. Let's not forget that. Steve Bruce wanted to swap Jack Grealish for Jordan Rhodes. That is something that you should not be forgetting. Harry Maguire, well, let's not even go there, because, well, wow. Andy Robertson, no. I think Liverpool saw the potential in him, and Jurgen Klopp is the man who's brought him on. Andy Robertson was not the player he is now when he first went to Liverpool. I can guarantee you that. Steve Bruce sends players backwards. He has had a history of doing that, and Billy is right. The swap for Jordan Rhodes will always stand out in my head. So Jack Grealish, no.
That's a great shout, though. Everybody's whinging about us not picking up any talent from these relegated teams this season. Hull from Robertson.
Yeah.
Look at how well he's doing for Liverpool. Like, you can't just say, oh, they got relegated, none of them are good enough. Not necessarily true. You've got to assess everything individually, and I'm sure the club will do that.
Yeah, of course we will. Annie's in the house as well. Rovers are shit, end of. Yeah, we'd expect that coming from a Bristol City fan. Annie, hope you're well, mate. But listen, I did actually say, earlier on, if you were watching, about Bristol City and maybe Eliot Anderson for next season in the Championship. Keith says, Paul, Billy and Station, I presume he meant Stato. I'm now looking forward to sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting to see who we are linked with to putting in our squad. Yeah, we'll be doing lots of shows like that. Matthew says, anyone else's shirt sponsor peeling off after 2 washes? Don't get me started on Castori again, please. Terrace says, would it be better sending him on loan to the Scottish Premier? Billy?
Why not? I mean, if you go to the top 2 clubs there, you're looking at a Championship quality side, I'd say. So why not? If you're going to South School Rangers, the Ross Counties of this world, probably not. I mean, they're kind of
and Celtics of this world. No.
Aberdeen, I don't think they're very happy with us anymore, are they?
No,
absolutely not.
No. Let's skip over Aberdeen. I think that any Aberdeen fans watching this will know exactly what we're talking about, actually. So Foxy's got a good one. Would you rule out a loan to Derby in League One for playing for Rooney? Or would it have to be at least the Championship? Now, there is an interesting point there, because if you look at sending Elliot Anderson out, if indeed we do next season, and we've just been talking about, we have to make sure that there is a manager who will will bring him on. Rooney, for me, I mean, if he worked under Wayne Rooney, who, by the way, I think has done a fantastic job at Derby, given the circumstances you've been put in, would Wayne Rooney be an option to work under, Alex?
Potentially. It's the league that I'm not happy with. I don't think League One is the right level. If you think about the Championship, there are so many teams in there that have recently been in the Premier League, that have the facilities, that still have players who are possibly good enough for the Premier League right now. They just aren't, because they're staying with the club they're at. Whereas League One will have a mishmash of the people who have been promoted from League Two, who've recently been in the National League several years ago. Such as your Forest Greens are going to go up and were in the National League. Salford could go up, were in the National League. So the comparison with League One there is you've got 5 or 6 teams who were recently in the Premiership, whereas if you go to League One, you've got 5 or 6 teams who've possibly been in the National League recently. So the gulf in quality across the division there, it's about who it's as much about who he has to play against as with. And it looks like he's cracked this division. A bit premature to say that potentially, but he looks very, very comfortable. He is in a strong side with a good manager, but we can only sort of assess what we've seen. And it seems fine. So I just think he needs a bit more of a challenge. We don't have all the time in the world, because we're going to develop this academy, and there's going to be new players coming through. So we need to try and get what we can out of this crop. Before we, because in 3 years' time, we're not going to recognise our squad. It's not going to look the same at all. So can we get some of these lads in that? That's the key question.
Well, they'll be chomping at the bit, won't they? They'll want to be a part of it. They'll not want to just disappear out to another club. They want.
I think that's why he needs a Championship loan. If we're going to loan him back out, it needs to be as hard as possible. We've got to help him develop as much as possible. We can't just, mollycoddle him.
Strengthening up as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Neil says we should make Real Madrid our feeder club. They need the help, the skin feckers.
Their fans have started. I've got a lot of Spanish things on my Twitter, and there's a few of them are starting to joke about a bit with the eyes emoji, just sort of like, because they know it's winding us up.
Yeah. Well, people are trying to wind us up. It's crazy. Dan says the Bristol fans call him the Geordie Maradona. He even has his own chant. Well, for me, that's just a sign of how far Eliot Anderson has come. Being called the Geordie Maradona and having his own chant is absolutely incredible. Josh says, I went to watch Bradford City the other week at Bristol Rovers, and Eliot Anderson was the best player on the field. Far too good for League Two. And I think that's what we're saying, really, isn't it? He's ready for the next level. Now, we think that next level should be the Championship, should be a bit tougher.
He got an assist in that game he went to, and Bristol Rovers won 2-1. So
So just a bit of brawn, a bit of strength, putting that muscle on Billy, because we know that the champion. If he goes to the Championship, we know that that will build him up, because it's a rough and tumble league. We've been there ourselves in recent times. We know that you have to. Managers in the league have to develop a strong squad, but they also have to develop strength in their players, in their personnel. So for Elliot to have a season there in the rough and tumble of the Championship might not be a bad thing.
I think it'll be a great thing, and it's not just that; it's the more professional the clubs are. The fitness regimes of the clubs higher up the leagues obviously get better. Stamina improves, strength improves, and for a lad of 19 to kind of do that, it'd be great for him. It'll give him the ideal kind of base to come back to us and maybe do things for us in 2 or 3 seasons' time. 2 seasons' time as a established professional football in the higher echelons of the leagues.
Indeed. Michael Marsden, thank you for your $44.99 super chat, mate. Very, very kind of you yet again. And I actually bumped into Michael in the garage today when I was going to get look at my new car. Michael was there with his dad, who was also purchasing a new car as well. So he got to meet Susan, and it was we'll not mention trying to find the boot unlocker on my new car. It took us about 30 minutes to find where it was, and it was a simple latch. But we won't get into that, Michael. But thank you so much for your donation, mate, as usual. And I'll speak to you very soon, buddy. Dan says Luton and Middlesbrough are also interested in taking him. Do you know what? If Middlesbrough are in the Championship next season, by the way, I don't think that's a bad shout, because he won't have to move home. He won't have to travel away. He'll be still close to his family, and I think that might suit him. Now, many people say, "Oh, it's Middlesbrough," but are they really our rivals? I'm not so sure they are. They're classed as Yorkshire, aren't they? I mean, I know it's called the Tees Time Derby, but really,
I don't feel any animosity towards them. I thought it was quite funny when they did well in the cup. I wasn't.
No, I've never felt that hatred towards Middlesbrough that I feel towards Sunderland. I mean, I feel more hatred towards Man United and Everton than I do Middlesbrough. So, would that be a bad move, especially under the Middlesbrough's current manager, Billy?
Especially Chris Wilder, he's had Premier League experience, did really well in the Premier League his first season, plays quite a progressive way as well, and I wouldn't be against that whatsoever. It'd be a fantastic move for him in all ways, logistically and football-wise.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a good shout. They're on a bit of a poor run of form at the moment. 3 losses and 2 draws in the last 5. Slightly under 50% in terms of their average possession. It just depends how. Chris Wilder obviously was quite famous for his. I being a stat man and loving formations. Everybody was enamoured when Sheffield came up with their overlapping centre backs and just the complexity and the really cool systems. So he's no scrub. We get a lot of hate abroad for the tactical and ineptness of some of our English managers, but some of the stuff Sheffield produced in the first season. I mean, where did they finish? 8th, Sheffield United in the first season.
Something like that, yeah.
Because the clubs just couldn't,
But we have to remember as well, Alex, that Chris Wilder is going to be rebuilding Middlesbrough next season, because he's taken over them this season from Neil Warnock, of course. So it's not really his full side. So if you think about it, he's going to be rebuilding. It might be a perfect time for Elliot to go in and become but he has to play. That's the thing.
I don't know where he would play, because Wilder does like a 3 at the back, wing backs. Would he play as that energetic wing back, with Paddy McNair behind him? Oh God, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Wow.
I mean, maybe it's a good shout.
Derek says Luton is a non-starter for him, as they wanted an option to buy. They did. Yeah, Luton had made inquiries, but the option to buy, we don't want that in the deal at all. They
can have an option as long as it's not an obligation.
Well,
Luton could be in the Premiership next year, couldn't they?
Well, they could, yeah. I mean, they're having a blistering season. Annie says, we don't like loan players. Pearson, that is. He isn't a fan of them. Highly unlikely we'll be after him. Would be funny, though, that he plays the shit and then signs for us. I mean, honestly, that would be interesting if he was, left Bristol Rovers a hero this season and went and played at City the next. I mean, I think that would piss plenty Bristol Rovers fans off, to be honest. I don't think they'd be calling him the Geordie Maradona anymore either. But, the hatred is there. Aditya says, Paul and Alex, send them to either Eredivisie or the Championship. Teams who play possession-orientated football, where he would develop ball control better, like Coventry, Sheffield, Middlesbrough, etc. Eredivisie wouldn't be a bad shout. Can you imagine, Feyenoord, PSV, those type of teams?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
maybe
not
not
sure
Ajax.
Any links. This is what the new regime's got to get into place. Is the trade, not the trade links, but the transfer links and friendships and preseason tours and affiliations, loans. We're not friends with anybody. Like, we're just not. When was the last time we were friends with anybody? Was it when who was the young Australian lad we sent? We sent to one of the Bradfords, the young Australian lad?
Curtis Good.
Well.
Curtis Good.
That's the one, yeah. I think we were friendly with them as a club for a while, but who are we friends with? We just don't have any affiliations, do we? We need to build some.
We're just that
links.
lonely, friendless football club. We just want to be friends. Roy says, would you think a deal with the Borough could be done? We take Spence and we give them Eliot Anderson for a season. Spence is a good player, by the way. That wouldn't be a bad shout. Championship teams who play possession-based football are Coventry, Sheffield, to some extent Middlesbrough, Swansea, definitely. These teams will be good. Rotherham and Wigan are also good options. I mean, Rotherham and Wigan will be coming promoted teams, obviously, from League One. Now, Daniel Barlaser went down to Rotherham, didn't he? And he actually signed a permanent deal eventually down there after having a very successful loan spell. Now, I thought he looked like a decent player as well that we could have maybe held on to, but unfortunately we didn't. He's gone on and he's doing well at Rotherham. And Wigan have looked after Kellen Watts as well, really, really well, giving him plenty game time. And, he's been a spearhead of their first 11 as well. So, we know that the likes of Rotherham and Wigan would generally bring these players on. But would you send them out into the Championship to newly promoted teams, Billy, with the risk that they might be struggling for relegation? Would it be a relegation-threatened team that you'd want Eliot Anderson to be involved in? Or could he be the difference between the going down and staying up?
It's harder to predict in the Championship who's going to be relegation threatened at the beginning of the season. I mean, we've seen newly promoted sides go straight through up to the top, haven't we? So,
well, the only reason I'm saying Rotherham and Wigan is because they've been a bit of especially Rotherham have been kind of
yo-yo-ish, yeah. Obviously, I'd sooner go to an established Championship club with ambitions of promotion. That's obviously the best way of them to go. But as I say, it's hard to predict which clubs are going to be like that. I mean, Coventry City, and currently at one point in the season they were in the top 4. They're now 11th, but they're usually relegation fodder in most people's eyes.
Yeah,
you can't really predict it.
Yeah. Ian says, you guys are going to be busy the next few months, what with the summer we're going to have, and then the World Cup, exciting times. Indeed, this is the channel to be if you want, we are going to be very busy, active over the summer, with all transfer shows and latest goings on at the club. And obviously, we'll be going through everything. And then obviously
we might have some internationals to watch from our club this Christmas for a change.
Damn right. And of course, we'll be doing World Cup watch-alongs. There is no doubt about that. So everything is going to happen on this channel. All Newcastle, and then obviously England through the World Cup. It's going to be fantastic this year on this channel. It's building really fast, this channel, and it. With what we've got coming up, hopefully it will only get bigger because we're starting to do shows that maybe a lot of others, aren't doing, like shows like this, rather than just concentrating on the here and now. We're looking ahead and seeing, where players could fit in the future. But that's not to say, but the Loaded lads will be coming on here as well. We've had a chat with Loaded. I'll be going on there. We're doing some collabs together with the Loaded boys, which we're really looking forward to doing as well. So we've got that to come as well. And the Loaded boys are absolutely fantastic lads. And hopefully, they can gain some more subscribers as well because they deserve it. They're a really good channel. Put the work in. And we'll see what happens with that in the future as well. So lots to look forward to, guys. Coming up. Dan says Forest may be yet to make it to the Premiership, so not going to loan him to them if that's the case. Forest would be a good shout if they're still in the Championship. Good manager there who, would probably bring him on. There's certainly a lot of options. Aditya says Paulie should play regular football as well. Sending him to Leon or the Championship clubs and he doesn't play regularly is of no use. Even MK Dons under Liam Manning in League One isn't a bad shout. Listen, I'm sure Newcastle will make it a stipulation, Alex, that he has to play or he has to be given a fair crack of the whip.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what Andy's saying, but it needs to be there needs to be a compromise there because we need him to get the development required because he's probably our hottest prospect right now. I understand Dylan Stevenson's doing very well and there's a few others, but he is our talisman in the youth setup right now of the crop we've got. So it's make or break whether we can try and get him into the first team. Mm-hmm. We need to try and pick the best path to the first team because the goal now is not develop to sell. The goal is develop to put in our team. Yeah. And he's right, but I feel like we've got to be less conservative on this and just try and do whatever the best option is to get in there. Mm-hmm. It might not work. We might send him to one club. He might have 2 or 3 poor games. Life happens, and then he might drop out the side. It happens, but we've got to try and do the best thing. And that's my opinion. But yeah. Well,
time will tell, won't it? Ross says Elliot should come to Hearts. We're in the Europa League qualifiers and guaranteed at least Conference League. Think about it that way. I mean, getting a bit of European football as well, somewhere like Hearts, would be pretty good, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, Hearts, in their own right, a big club. And if Eliot Anderson can go in there and upset the apple cart amongst the 2 Glasgow clubs, then that'd be a fantastic achievement for him. And He's got the quality to do it. Well, what we're seeing,
and getting European football experience would
European football experience as well, be an added bonus, wouldn't it? It'd be fantastic.
Just top the
bit of
top
pressure
the
and
cherry
media
on
pressure,
the cake.
fan pressure.
Yeah. Dave says, evening, lads. What about sending Anderson over to the top Bristol club and Gas's rivals, City? Yeah, we've discussed that. Roy says it would be a step up for Spence and a step up for Eliot Anderson. Good business for a double loan deal. I guess it would be, yeah, no doubt about it.
The problem is with Spence is being a right back, isn't it? We've got two excellent right backs at the club already, potentially three. One's going to be going. Would Jed Spence get any game time? That's the question.
Yeah. Adrian makes a good point. Sounds like Bruno would be a great mentor for Elliot.
I mean, attribute-wise, he's putting up good defensive numbers, but they're more for a kind of ball hunting, as a ball hunting player, not like a Shelvey stand and tackle and protect the front line. He's more of a sniff it out and just go, boy, go win, go find that ball, and he just goes up the pitch.
Like a dog chasing a tennis ball.
I mean, we haven't talked about the midfield. That's a great question to bring Bruno. I was thinking slightly further up, but so the other option is if we play the same formation we're playing now, which is the 4-3-3. Ultimately, it's going to be probably one sitter, which is Shelvey. It has been Bruno at times, and then 2 8s who push forward. Kind of the Ajax play this way, Liverpool play this way, City play this way. It would make sense. It's a big possibility we could play this way.
Yeah.
So he could potentially be one of those players, and at the moment, typically is Joe Linton left, Willock right. So could he fit into one of those positions? Very possibly. I mean, if statistically, it's very unfair to compare his stats in League Two versus the Premier League, because obviously, so I've got Willock, Hayden, and Longstaff down here. Sean Longstaff. Obviously, they're up against more difficult opposition, but so you would like to think that his stats are much better, which they are. He's averaging triple the shots per game compared to Willock, Hayden, and Longstaff, double the touches, triple the key passes, a lot more dribbles. His duels are also right the way up there. We don't quite have as much in-depth stats in terms of pressures because we don't track statistics that well. We don't have free access to these things in terms of running stats and pressures. That's sort of information that's privy to the clubs. They keep that generally. But he draws a lot of fouls. He's not too dirty as well. Only 3 yellow cards in the season so far. Not much of a crossy player though. So I wouldn't expect too much of that from him. But 32 accurate passes a game compared to Willock's 15, Hayden's 18. Again, it's comparing League Two to the Premiership, but the numbers are there. Like if you want to see, can somebody step up? What you want to look at are those numbers really high for the league? Yes, they are. They are really, really high. So it does look like he can step up. The question is, what level is he ready to step up to right now?
Exactly.
We're not sure, but based on the wingers we've got at the club right now and the midfielders, it's very likely we're going to let Hendrick go, possibly one of the Longstaffs, possibly both. We don't know yet. Possibly Hayden, possibly some wingers. There's going to be space. And ultimately, because of his age and he's homegrown, he doesn't take up a 25-man registration.
That's a good point. Yeah, so we'd have that extra option, wouldn't we?
I would keep him based on all of this. I would. I mean, it depends how he does in pre-season, as Billy said.
Well, yeah, but he's certainly got the talent to stay in the squad. I firmly believe that. JJ says, Paul, I'd have Alex organise the bachelor party. He'd have all the stats on the best pubs and keep the team together. Yeah, he'd do his homework before the bachelor party. He certainly would. Send as many players as possible on loan to develop them. Clubs who play high press and possession football should be targeted. De Ball, Dylan, Elliot, Joe White's progress should be monitored. Indeed, yeah, they are. We're going to be talking about them in later shows that did here as well. It's not just Elliot we're talking about. We'll obviously look at the other guys as well. This question keeps popping up here. So why do you ignore any questions about Bazza? Is he not no source of inside knowledge at club? Look, Baz has decided to go his own way. Okay, he's taken his channel in a different direction. So you know, wish him well. You know, let him get he's gone his own way. We're going ours. So at the end of the day, that's how it is. There you go. He's gone one way, we've gone the other. Simple as that. No problems. Murphy, I would sell, says Thomas. Murphy's an interesting one, but we'll talk about players going in and out at a later date. Tony, good evening. Haven't seen you for a while, mate. Leeds fan. Sorry I'm late. Watched Leeds under 23s batter you. Anderson was the only one who had anything about him. He had the bottle, kept it, keep him or regret it. Yeah, and that's what we need to be careful of when we're talking about permanent deals, Billy. This is what we're talking about. We do not want to make a mistake of letting a talent like Eliot Anderson go and then suddenly he becomes a world beater and we've just shoved him down the drain.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to give him every chance possible at Newcastle United. And I'm kind of interested in when the Carabao Cup, the first round we play in, does that come before the transfer window for loans to lower league clubs comes? Because if it doesn't, I'd keep him here until that round's been. And if he impresses in that, keep hold of him.
I think the Carabao Cup, where we go in, is, I believe,
is it August or September?
Second week of the season or something, because I know that the Carabao Cup starts before the leagues do.
Yeah.
So I think that the first round certainly starts before the season's kicked off. I'm sure it did last season. So whether it's the same this season, then who knows? But it's a good shout, actually. And then
I think the loan window ends later, doesn't it, as well? I think they can loan players to championships. They can loan after the window shuts. So it could be an idea to keep him as late as possible.
We played Burnley in the second round of the EFL Cup on the 25th of August.
There you go.
That's before the window, then, isn't it?
Before the window closes.
Lost on penalties.
Yeah, I was there. I took the kids. The kids have come with me to 2 games this season: Burnley 0-0 and Cambridge United. Both games I took them to. I took Susan to the Cambridge game as well, but the games I took the kids to, I turned around to them and said, "Oh, Newcastle will win, score plenty goals. You'll see the stadium rocking." Holy hell, man! But I sort of record as much as I can, like coming out the ground, walking down past the players' entrance and stuff like that, with everybody singing and chanting now. And like I showed my daughter Phoebe, who's the main one who's into football out my kids, and she's like, "Well, it wasn't like that against Cambridge, and it wasn't like that against Burnley." And I said, "No, they were bad times. Cambridge was just before we really got going under Eddie, wasn't it? He just brought in Trippier, and he just blending the side together." Aditya says, "Alex, he looks like an Ericsson kind of player. Ericsson played as a number 10 or left midfield. Elliot can also play as one of the 3 in a 4-3-3.
Yep, it does look like it. So it's either going to be that left-sided player in the midfield in a 4-3-3, or in a 10 in a 4-2-3-1, or in a left wing position. So, he could do what Joe Linton's doing. I mean, he wins. I'll tell you what. Speaking of Joe Linton, Anderson wins a lot of aerial duels as well. He's no slouch. He's only 5'10". He's only about 11 stone, so he might need to fill out a little bit. But down in League Two, he's playing against a lot of guys who are 26, 27, 28 years old, who have got a lot of experience, and he's winning a lot of aerial duels. He is he's up for it. It looks like he can play.
Does he win more aerial duels than a certain Christopher Wood?
Well, maybe not. But he does win in the games I've got written down. Against Port Vale, he won 4 out of 8. So for a young 5'10" lad to win four aerial duels,
exactly,
against a team of men is impressive. He's not just playing against youth teams anymore.
Indeed. Ginger says, Paulie's in League Two. It isn't. That's not an impressive league. Get him in the Championship. If he can't get in double figures, then maybe we need to wait till the new facilities are built. I don't agree with that.
It is impressive for the scale.
For what he's done, and for the way he's turned Bristol Rovers season around, for a 19-year-old kid, wow. I mean, come on. Nathan says, could we loan Anderson to one of the teams that lose in the playoffs? Huddersfield or Luton, maybe. Luton wouldn't be a bad shout for me because they've got a good setup down there, and everybody speaks very highly of their. What's their manager called? Is it Jones? Nathan Jones.
Nathan Jones, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Mick Harford's part of that. Part of that structure as well, and they've had some really good reviews. So I wouldn't be too upset if he went to Luton if they were to have another season in the Championship. Ginger says, plus Liverpool steal their youth off everyone else. To be fair, maybe it's time for us to look around Europe and the Premier Under-23s league for talent.
That's a bit unfair. Liverpool have got some of their own, the Curtis Joneses, Joe Gomez's of the world.
I think he's just referring to the young lad they picked up from Fulham, isn't he? Probably.
Cavallo,
yeah.
But listen, we can do that. We'll start. We'll be one of those teams that does that. There'll be fans around. Well, there's fans around the UK now already kicking off. Yeah, for Newcastle this and Newcastle that. But then when we start going in for not just their first team players, but youth talent as well, it'll be Newcastle get everything they want. Despite the fact we've had nearly 15 years of absolute hell. But never mind. Everyone seems to just breeze over that we don't deserve any happiness or any success or any ambition. We just need to stay in the doldrums and shut our faces. Well, we're not going to. We are rising, my friends. Craig said, I'd rather you had another season out on loan to a championship side and we sign established players for the time being. Matthew says a move to Derby could be good. Jim says take Paqueta on from Leon and let them have Anderson on loan. Yeah, we mentioned that before. I would certainly be up for that. Annie says, Alex, I disagree. League One has some clubs that are considered big, some clubs who play the right way and could do well there.
Well,
Derby County's one of them.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to mention the other one.
No.
His comment is fair, but Annie, you've also got to appreciate that we're not developing him to play for the old Newcastle. We're developing him to play for a European challenging side.
Premier League challenging side.
If he had a great season in League One and came back and he was going to be like a Murphy for us, then fine.
Yeah.
But we're not at that point anymore. So we need to try and not fast track his development, but treat it as if we're going to get him ready to be a sort of a player that's going to be able to play in Europe and be good in 3 to 4 years, be able to play at that level comfortably. So we can't. We've got to make sure that development path is there. There are some okay sides in League One for sure, but there's also a lot of dross in League One. So the Championship would be a much higher standard for him. That's for sure.
Yeah. John Joe, thank you for the £4.49 super chat. This is a question for which three teams do you think are going down? Listen,
the ones that are there now.
The ones that are there now, I would love to see go down. So there you go. I think we're all agreed on that. Osman says, do we have a director of football? Not yet.
No.
That will be confirmed at a later date. Shelvatron says fixed title and description. Huh?
Yeah, Elliot spelled wrong, but only a pedant would spot that. Two L's.
I thought it was only spent with one L.
Is it one L, two T's, or two L's, one T? It's one of the two.
Two L's, I think. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Two L's, one T. Yeah.
Shoot me with a bloody.
You can't beat a bit of pedantry.
Shit machine. Jesus Christ Almighty.
Some of my family who aren't into football started loving John Joe Shelby because they thought his surname was Shelby for the last year. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Get in the 4 post, John Joe.
Yeah, honestly. So how do you spell his name? Sorry.
2 L's, 1 T.
2 L's, 1 T. Right, the title is fixed. I will go and change the thumbnail later on tonight after the show. I do apologise, Shelvatron, for my absolute silliness in getting that wrong, and I apologise wholeheartedly. I feel like now I have to eat a bucket load of poo because I'm such a terrible man that I've set up a title wrong. I've spelled the name wrong.
At least you spell our properly. O-U-R and not A-R-E.
Yeah,
like certain people.
Fair enough.
It was war up there, isn't it?
War. Don't forget, without Bruce, Eddie Howe wouldn't have broke the record of not winning in 14 and still surviving. Credit where credit's due. Yeah. Jim says, what, just for you, Shelvatron? Yeah, I've changed it just for Shelvatron. Michael says, do you not think you would be better off with better coaches at Newcastle? Eddie and his team have done miracles with their old players. Look, yes, that's what we're saying. Maybe, when he comes back in the summer, get a chance for Eddie and his coaching team to work with him, and then, give him a pre-season, let them judge him, and certainly Eddie hasn't been a bad judge of character so far, has he? So let's just make sure that he gets that opportunity, and I think he will. But again, we'll just have to wait in the summer for that.
Internationally as well. So he is rated at international level. I'm not quite sure. There's not much information. I don't quite know what's going on with his international career, but he's listed as playing for the under-17s Scotland team.
Yeah, is he Scottish? Is he English? Is he Scottish? Is he English?
Then the under-19s England, and then back to the under-Scottish under-21s.
But apparently England want him back again, so
yeah,
we've approached him again. So
which is quite obviously there's a big reason why. Obviously, he's standing out so much more.
To have him in the England setup because they've had a huge onus on playing style and system in the youth teams. So that would probably be good for his development for us as well. So.
Aditya says, Paul and Alex, I watched Paqueta against West Ham and he was awful. I can't lie. Hopefully it was just a bad game. Go for Malinovsky of Atalanta instead. I'm sorry, but maybe it was a one-off. But Paqueta is a fantastic football player, and there you go. Somebody made Derek says, Paul, hope your new car has a better sat nav. And then Susan's gone and answered, saying, with no toll roads. Listen, the man who got me into that bother in the first place is sitting on the bottom of the screen now drinking a can of pop. Had he actually said, there's a way of avoiding the toll roads, I wouldn't have gone down that route anyway. But that's just the way it goes. Jonas says, back in the Ravanelli times, Borough were decent. Never hated them, though. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they had a really good run to Europe and stuff like that. And Ginger says Eze and Elise from QPR. Indeed, they are. They've got a good setup down there.
Elise's Reading.
Is he?
Elise was Reading, yeah.
We also forced him to get subbed off after 40 minutes the other day. So,
well, yes, we did. Yes, we did. That's a very good point. Dean Henderson had a fantastic season for Sheffield United the year they went up. He did. When's the show going in HD, Paul? It is in HD at the minute. Only 720 at the minute. I can knock it up if I want. But what I find is just at 720, everything stays stable, as in the guests on the show are stable and things like that. Because if I put it up to 1080p, sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss. If we're talking, listen, HD to full HD, we're talking tiny little pixels here to where you've got to put your face right against the screen to see the difference. On YouTube, it doesn't make much of a difference. On a big 55-inch TV like I've got, then it would make a difference. You can see it clearly. But on here, I get told that the best way to broadcast on YouTube is 720p HD. So you know what? I'm just going to do that. The videos that I record, they're done in 1080p because obviously it's just me and my green screen, and I do that through OBS, and it comes out really well. But you know what? Just leave it, Ronald. We're fine. Michael says, hi, Susan. It was lovely to meet you today. Wilder is more likely to move to Burnley next season. That's interesting.
Can I just to Annie as well about that West Ham Lyon game? Paqueta got subbed on in the second half. He only played one half, and they were already 2-0 down at half time. So it was a bit of a chasing game there. Yeah. So unfair, a little bit of an unfair sample there, but yeah, fair enough.
Indeed. John Joe, thanks for another £4.49 super chat. Very kind of you. He says the rest of the Premier League will really get a shock when we take points off Man City and Liverpool. Then watch their reaction. Oh, I'll tell you what. Listen, Everton battled today. There was no doubt about that. They put in a battling performance. Liverpool, that's a sign of champions, though, isn't it? You know, when things aren't going their way, they just keep plucking away. That Diaz seems like an absolute sensational signing. I mean, did you watch the game?
Yeah.
Did you see him bring that ball down with he did a little back flick sort of. He just brought the ball down with his opposite. I mean, that was just a piece of magic. And for me, he changed the game. I mean, when he came on, and it was just a different game. But, you know, that's a sign of a championship winning side that they can, you know, Everton set the stall out there to try and get a point. There was no doubt about that. I don't know why, because the point's not really what they wanted. But let's look at their man. We could have ended up with Frank Lampard, but we didn't.
Certain people were calling for him.
Indeed.
Myself.
So was I. I mean, listen, when Gerrard went to Villa, I thought, right, Lampard is the only logical one left. I mean, everyone was talking about Eddie Howe coming in before the takeover. But when he's...
I wanted Fonseca and Howe. Those were my two favourites.
Yeah, Fonseca would have been very interesting. And by the way, it was nice to see Fonseca manage to get out of the Ukraine as well during the troubled times over there. He managed to get out and get back to Portugal, didn't he? Desperate times for him it was. Spider says, wouldn't we have sister clubs if our owners buy teams in France and Italy? We could send them that. Yeah, I mean, somebody mentioned that in the comments before. You know, if PIF do decide to go down the route of purchasing other clubs, you know, like Man City obviously have a relation, do they own a
one of the New York sides, don't they? Yeah,
New York sides in the MLS, don't they? So
their own clubs are outside of our continent, so it doesn't clash with European competitions.
Yeah.
So it gets a bit more complicated. That's why Ashley couldn't have the stakes in Rangers and all of this. It does get a bit funny.
Yeah.
I think Melbourne Victory is another one. I think Melbourne Victory, another one down in Australia.
Yeah. Well, there's a Newcastle Knights over in Australia. Is it the
Knights
or the Jets? One of the
Jets,
two. Yeah. That would be interesting. Two Newcastles. Rashid says it's all right if we don't have friends. It's generally lonesome on top. Yeah. Hopefully, Ratchet will be way above, sitting on Mount Everest, looking down over all the other peasants of the Football Premier League and laughing at them as they're trying to throw snowballs and stones at us, trying to break the windows of our mighty castle sitting on top of the mountain. There you go. Paul says, can't wait for the 1st of May, ladies' game. Yeah, I'm going to that one as well. I'm really looking forward to that. Aditya's back says, in League One, Derby, Bolton, MK Dons wouldn't be a bad shout. Even Alex Neil is a good manager. Sorry, I'm having to wipe my eyes because I think I've just seen
Bruce.
I think I've just seen the word Sunderland. Would you guys mind sending youngsters to Sunderland as long as... No! Listen, we wouldn't do that. It's just
only shit ones.
Yeah, only the ones. Yeah, Jeff Hendrick and them. Yeah, let's send them to Sunderland. No doubt about it. But no, you know, you don't find Manchester United loaning players to Man City, do you? You just don't. Or Liverpool and Everton, or Liverpool Man United. You know, it doesn't happen. We wouldn't. Why would we want to improve the Mackhams?
Liverpool and Manchester United haven't done transfer business together since the 1950s. That's astonishing.
I know there's been some, you know, Everton, Liverpool ones. You know, you look at Beardsley for one. You know, he did the jump, didn't he? But there's not many others. But the bottom line is, why would we want to improve Sunderland Football Club? There would just be no reason or wherefore to do that at all.
Most of the switches happen after the end of contracts as well. Yes. Normally the clubs don't speak to each other at all.
Yeah, indeed. Yano says, any of the teams that lose in the Championship playoffs, Forest play a good possession style of football. Lascelles can go with them. Yeah.
They've already seen him, though.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No point having a youth academy if you don't use them. How are the lads? We need a better loan manager. Shola is not the answer. I don't think Shola's done a bad job, to be honest. I mean, look, he was told to get Kel Watts out on loan. He was told to get Eliot Anderson out loan. He's found some very good clubs who've looked after them, as far as I'm concerned. You know, Woodman's gone to Bournemouth, expected to do really well there. And I don't know whether the fact that what's happened to Woodman had anything to do with the dodgy start of the season he had with us.
Yeah, I think that's Shola's fault, because he got Golden Glove with Swansea, didn't he? So it's not, you can't blame Shola for that.
Yeah. I think he's done all right, to be honest. I think you've been a bit harsh there, Derek. Great show, says Caitlin and Nick. Jacob says, sorry I'm late to the show. Have spent the last 2 hours on the ground laughing at Everton. Oh, dear me. Right, well, just to sum up the show, it's been a really good show, exactly as we thought it would be, getting your input in the chat as well on it and seeing what you think of the chances for Elliot Anderson. I'll ask you two guys. Billy, I'll ask you first to sum it up. Where do you see Elliot Anderson in 5 years' time?
As a mainstay for Newcastle United.
Excellent. Good answer. Alex?
Yeah, I see him with us as well. I think.
Really?
Yeah, based on what the pathway I was talking about earlier, I think they're going to want one that works.
Yeah.
We're going to try and squeeze one out of this current crop before there's a big overhaul in training and youth academies. He is our highest rated talent right now. He's doing the business in the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
Joe Barton's comments.
I see him still around Newcastle 5 years' time, and
fits in
hopefully
the system,
knocking on the international door well before then as well. He's certainly got the talent. Added, this is Paul and Alex. Spurs sent Harry Kane to London rivals Millwall, who they encountered hooliganism with in the past. Do Spurs really care? Development matters. If Sunderland coaches them well, will it matter, bro? Yes, it will matter. And do you look at Sunderland now, and think they're being coached really well? You know, they've brought loads of youngsters through. They're really doing well. No, they're not. They've had a dreadful time. And that may be down to ownership, which it probably is more so than anything down to bad ownership of the club. There is no doubt about that. But, you know, the managers that have been there recently, and they've had some good names in there, haven't been able to coach the players to the next level or to get them up out of League One. So what makes you think that Eliot Anderson could go there and suddenly become a world beater? It doesn't make sense. I would stay well away from Sunderland. And listen, if we're sending somebody like Eliot Anderson to Sunderland, we are going to improve their team. There is no doubt about that. So Ash says, Billy and Alex would do a better job than Sunderland. Yeah,
because I wouldn't help him.
So there you go, guys. We all think that Eliot Anderson eventually should remain with the club long term. Hopefully be knocking on international door, whether it's Scotland or England. We have no idea of yet. But maybe send him out to the Championship next season or a bigger league around Europe. Or, in fact, if he does really impress during the time that he's in pre-season, etc. Let's see who this is. You blank me all the time, Paul. Think you're Newcastle United score. You support Newcastle. I support Newcastle all my life. And I've never been blank me. Every time you leave a message for you, you're not your Newcastle. Does anybody have any idea what that message means?
Nope.
No idea.
You're more like a Sun supporter, cronies on top of them Sunderland supporter you are. What on
If you're going to troll, at least do it right.
Wow. That's impressive. I mean, you know, I think...
He managed to get blankety blank in it. Oh, no.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, is he watching blankety blank? Because he certainly mentioned blanket on a few occasions. That is very interesting.
Possibly because he's Facebook user, it blocked swear words. Maybe,
yeah, but the thing is, I don't blank anybody. If somebody messages me, I speak to them. But the problem is sometimes I get people that will message me really ridiculous things that have nothing to do with football and keep on going. You know, they're not proper conversations, but
I'll check your messages if I were you. Find out who it is.
Yeah. Wow. Gary says, enjoyed the show, guys. Thanks to everyone involved in the mods. Lucas says, do you think he would be like Gascoigne? Do you know what? Gascoigne, he's been mentioned quite a few times to be in the same ilk as Gaza. If he turns out like Gaza, we've got one hell of a player on our hands.
If he's half a Gaza, then we're laughing, aren't we?
Yeah.
And let's keep hold of him this time, not sell him on. Let's keep hold of him.
Yeah. Ian says, I think you blanked him. Oh, dear. Davey's not holding back. Gingy
Blanca.
uses alter ego, dear me. Oh, dear. Pleased to hear you and Loaded to collaborate. Yeah, really looking forward to that. That should be really good. Andrew says he was talking blank. Danielle with just a standard FTT. Mrs. Toon Review says it's Alex J. Oh, Alec Johnson. Right. Alex. Okay, message to you, mate. I know you're sending me messages. Okay, that makes more sense now. I know who you are. But listen, when you're sending me things like, "Oh, do you realize Rihanna's just had a new baby?" and things like that, I'm not going to reply, mate, because it's all about football. And I know you do talk a lot about football, and I appreciate that. But just have a conversation and then leave it. You don't have to keep on sending me messages every 10 minutes about Rihanna giving birth or a snail crawling across the garden or whatever it is. Just leave it to football, buddy. That's all I'm asking. But I will not. I don't blank you. I just don't answer questions that aren't regarding football.
You can talk about Aston Villa.
Oh dear,
hey.
terrible. That was terrible. But I do appreciate you reaching out and messaging me, Alex. It's nothing to do with that. It's just let's just stick to football. I don't want to know any of the messages. I'm not interested in Rihanna and stuff like that, mate. That if I was, I would sort of message you back. He's not. I don't think Alex isn't a troll, guys. I know who he is now. That makes sense. But there you go. Added is back. Paul and Alex, I think Sunderland is good at bringing players through. Jordan Henderson and Pickford. Your thought? Pickford.
He's talking about a time when their academy system was in place and they were in the Premier League. It's not the investment's not been there for some time now. It's a different. I mean, you follow the Championship, and I don't know how far down the leagues you follow.
Yeah,
but surely you'll have more of an idea of what it looks like down there than myself.
Yeah,
it can't
that's
be
not Annie. That's not Annie. That's someone else. That's Aditya.
Why did I think that was Annie? What am I doing? No, Annie's got the red thing. I've got
Annie's.
I apologise for getting
A.H. Robbins talk is Annie.
I just read AD and then just assumed my brain shaft.
It's a disgrace. You get the Sil Kelly Award for the show today. Henderson, I'd kind of agree with. Yes. Do I think he's improved at Liverpool? Almighty so. Yes, I do. But yes, Henderson came through. He was a crap winger, but Liverpool brought him on. Get Sunderland out your head, did you? I don't know what this thing is you've got about Sunderland being this almighty, wonderful academy bringing through wonderful club. We don't owe them shit. So there you go. Mark says he's won a blankety blank checkbook and pen. Joe Linton is worth more than 40 million. He is now. Let's have a look. Basil Brush is back. Boom, boom. Did you ask Anderson on your show? We're in talks, aren't we, Alex? Is that how we'd put it?
We are in talks, yeah. Not with himself, but his representatives. So,
yeah. Out of interest, who would be okay with throwing against? But we've had that before, Adam. Listen, it's a difficult one, but I would love Everton to go down. Neil says, Paul, do check the Facebook message I sent you today, mind. I was messaged first from Toon Review on YouTube. Definitely worth a look. Neil, it was me that replied to you on YouTube. I have got your message as well, mate, and I will be replying to it. Don't worry about that. Look, people have to understand, I get a lot of messages, obviously, every day from various people wanting sponsorships, people wanting to sponsor the channel, all of this kind of stuff. There's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes with this channel now, with it growing like it is. There's all sorts to do on a daily basis. But Neil, I have read your message today and I will be replying, mate. So don't worry. It was a lovely message as well. So thank you very much for that. Get yourselves down to For Your Eyes Only Club in Newcastle. Tell them El Chapo sent you. You'll be looked after. There you go, Billy. We'll send you. We'll send you, being the single man. We'll send you down to For Your Eyes Only, and El Chapo will look after you.
El Chapo.
Isn't that what you call your gentleman's sausage? I don't know. Dear me. Right, there we go. Mark says, did you get that Rob Lee book I sent you, Paul? Yes, I did, Mark. It just came. Was it today? No, not yesterday or the Friday it came. So I've definitely got it, Mark, and I will be doing that in a giveaway in one of the shows this week as a members giveaway. So thank you very much, Mark. Very kindly. Mark donated the Rob Lee autobiography to be given away as a prize. So thank you for that, Mark. Andy says, Alex appreciation post. What a terrific addition to the channel, Paul. Billy is cracking as well. Paul, you're all right.
Well, thank you, Andy.
I don't know why I do this, to be honest. It's always look at Daniel.
Paul is the glue. We wouldn't be anything without the glue.
Look at Alice.
Absolutely.
Look at Danielle looking radiant. Oh, Alex knows his stuff. Look at Billy. He's great. Paul.
We love you, Paul.
I put in a lot of work behind the scenes in this goddamn channel. Let me tell you that. It's a good job. I love my viewers.
It's not always a
I'd be very
positive thing
upset.
as well. When I've got stuff to do, like jobs, and then I realise I've been looking at like Mansfield town stats for 3 hours. I'm like, oh shit, I should have been doing other things.
Yeah,
It's not always a good
does
thing.
that to you. I mean, once I start prepping shows and things like that, and actually loading them onto the system and things like that, before I know it, the day's gone, and it's mental. Danielle, you're all right, Paul. Cheers, Danielle. Cheers, sis. Basil Brush is apparently coming on soon. That should be interesting. Lucas says, what do you think about Adam Pearson? Adam Pearson is a cracking lad. He is a really, really nice lad. I've been to many away games with him this season. I've known Adam for a long time. Look, what Adam's doing now is some of the stuff that he's doing with his videos. He's basically just trashing the trolls. That's all he's doing. He's basically throwing it back in their faces, which
It's
you've
funny.
got to. He is,
I love that.
and
It's great.
I'm sorry, but you have to admire him for doing that. I think it's hilarious that he's actually throwing it back in their faces. He takes so much abuse on social media, right? But credit to him, he just gets on with what he's doing. He has probably a different audience dynamic to us because we do different things to Adam. Which is what is good, because everybody's doing different things, and that's what it's all about. So for me, you know, the crap that Adams took, especially this season, but he's continued to put in the work. He continues to put in the effort on his channel, and he's getting the rewards from it. So for me,
we need him though. We need people like Adam.
Of course we do.
Like all the new people from abroad who are learning about Newcastle, who are interested in the Premier League, interested in English football.
Yeah.
He is. If you Google us, he is up there, and as well as us, there's many channels up there, but that gives people an insight as to away days and what it feels like behind the scenes. It's important.
And he works his bollocks off as well, and he's deservedly.
I'm abroad, so it's great to see. It's great to see the passion.
Having said that,
like.
One thing is, Adam, you desperately need some new shorts, buddy. Because the ones you had, they were horrific. I don't know whether you put them on for a bet, my son, but Jesus Christ, man, you need some new shorts. But listen, Adam's great. Newcastle Fans TV are brilliant. Magpie channel are brilliant. Steve Wraith on NUFC Matters, they're a brilliant channel as well. John Sinclair, you've got PD Product, you've got Toon Army TV, you've got Keeping It Toon on YouTube, you've got Rainey's channel, Rainey Toon or whatever that is. I can't remember his name, I do apologize, but Rainey's channel, have a look for that as well. Brilliant channels, you know, there's loads out there, but we all do different things. We all do different dynamics. We all do different shows, and that's what makes the content interesting. People will have their favorite ones, which is fine. As long as this channel is one of them, I don't mind. But you know what? Credit to all of it. We work hard at putting out content for all of you, and that's what we want to do. So we'll continue to do that for as long as we're around. We love what we do. It's hard work. People just think, oh, you switch your camera on and it's nothing like that. It really isn't. It is damn hard work. You know, and putting shows together is hard work. Doing the recording shows is hard work because you've got to edit, you've got to produce, you've got to you've then got to upload it to YouTube, put your descriptions in and everything like that. There's a lot goes on behind the scenes. So for people slating people like Adam, did I mention Loaded as well, by the way? Loaded HQ as well in the Newcastle channels, who we'll be collaborating with shortly. So there's some great shows with them coming up. You know, Adam puts in a lot of effort. And, you know, the videos he does now, I think they're hilarious when he's coming on, he's having a drink and he's pointing to the camera and he's basically throwing it back in the trolls' faces, and credit to him. Absolutely 100%, because he's such a nice lad. He really is, and I'm just happy he's throwing it back in the trolls' faces, and I'm really happy for his success. You know, you've got Tyneside Life with Eddie as well. Eddie's a cracking bloke. Does a lot of, you know, he does football stuff, but he also does stuff on, you know, the northeast area. He did a brilliant one the other day on Newcastle. I watched it this morning. Really good, interesting stuff that I didn't know about Newcastle as a city. So, you know, there's loads of it, but there you go. That's just me having a bit of a, but everybody's doing so well. And I'm really happy for everybody. And I will help anybody. I don't like it when it gets thrown back in my face, but hey ho, life is life, and that will happen. But at the same time, I want to help anybody, and you know, just like people will help me. It's as simple as that. but even if Adam's not your cup of tea, then fine. Like I say, he has a different audience demographic to us. We have different audience demographic to probably Newcastle Fans TV and Magpie Channel and all that. So it's just the way it is. But like I say, as long as you make us one of your favourites, then we won't complain at all. For me, Eddie is in Tyneside is fantastic when he interviews rival fans. Yeah, I did actually try like the rest, but the Toon review the best. I like it. I like that. Props to Alex and Billy for. Hang on a minute. Props to Alex and Billy for all the work they put in behind the scenes. Well done for the commitment, fellas.
If you knew, if only you knew, I'll just rock up at 2 minutes to 8 and fuck off at half.
I've got a lot of notes down here.
Yeah. But I don't have any. I haven't got a desk full of paperwork or diaries or notebooks. I just sit here and switch my camera on, guys. Anyway, Andrew says we as fans are lucky to have so many good and dedicated YouTubers now. I hardly watch normal TV. Not many people do, to be honest, watch normal TV, but that's, again, the way it goes. Danielle says, Toon review family always. Thank you very much. Adam actually got St. Maximan's shirt yesterday as well. Don't know whether anybody noticed that, yeah. But he didn't make much of a thing about it in his video. Yeah. Yano says Adam's doing okay, and 23,000+ subs vindicates his choice to do it full time. Fair play to that. Yeah, look, he's doing 100%. And he's doing it. But like I say, he has a very different audience to us. Like TV channels, people will watch certain TV channels, certain programs. Some people won't. Some people prefer other programs. That's just the way it works. That's how life is. Jim says Toon review for life. Indeed, thank you. But listen, guys, thank you for joining me tonight, Alex and Billy. And thank you to the mods, as usual, for the hard work behind the scenes, keeping the chat nice and friendly. And thank you to everybody that's been in the chat tonight. That you are what makes the show. We like getting your opinions on stuff. Everybody won't agree, but it's just nice to have a different point of view. Which is great. Dan says, an American, it's interesting to see all the different point of views, although I love you guys and Adam. Thank you very much, Dan. Dan is a big contributor to the channel in many ways behind the scenes. So thank you, Dan, for that continued stuff. Matty is a good Toon YouTuber too. He is, yeah. I've seen some of Adam's stuff, which is okay, but I prefer Toon review. That's fine. That's fine. But like I say, different demos. But if you have enjoyed tonight's show, it's something a little bit different, please do hit that like button and let YouTube know that we are the up-and-coming and rising YouTube channel. If you're new and you like what you see, please do consider hitting that subscription button and hit the notification bell, which will tell you when we've gone live or I upload a video. Thank you to everybody that super chatted tonight again. Your kindness is just, it's very humbling every time. Tomorrow night, me and Alex will be back with the transfer show. We'll be starting to look now at possible signings. Billy, you'll be back for the fan forum on Tuesday. Alex may well join us, especially if we don't talk about ASM too now. Well, nasty, but listen, we'll always talk about ASM. But he had a very, very good game yesterday. That's the thing. So I don't think anybody will be trashing him. Wednesday night, I'm not sure if anything's on. Thursday night will be the preview for the Liverpool game. The four of us will be back for that, and then Billy will be doing a watch-along on Saturday. There will be a watch-along on this channel starting at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon. Billy will be your commentator for the game.
Middays, 12:30 kickoff.
Oh, shit. 12 o'clock noon. Thanks, Billy. Billy will be doing the watch-along for the channel. So really looking forward to that. Billy is a commentator. He doesn't just sit there and read the comments out. He actually commentates. I don't know whether he has the same exquisite phrases as myself, but he definitely does comment on the game, commentate on
some colourful ones, perhaps.
Indeed. So if you can't make the game, please, I know it's on telly, but knock the commentary off and listen to Billy because he'll be fantastic at it. And then Saturday. Probably Saturday evening, early Saturday evening, around 6 o'clock again, we'll probably have the match reaction. And then Sunday next week, we'll probably do something like this again with some other players. So lots and lots of stuff coming up on the channel. I will upload any news videos that come about. Obviously, the press conference one on Friday, but before then, there you go. And Andrew says, Billy's commentary is actually very good, folks. Yeah, so the watch-along is a must for me. Indeed. I've had a lot of messages asking why we don't do home games, and it's obviously because I'm at the match. But Billy is a very, very good commentator, and I'm pretty sure he'll do the channel proud, commentating on the home games. So there you go.
Be nice to do it with an audience, Paul.
Indeed. Apparently, Foxy says Billy does Martin Tyler commentary for the goals. Well, that'll be you're in for a treat, guys. You're in for an absolute treat. So there you go. We will be covering every Newcastle United game home and away with full commentary on the channel as well from now on. So there you have it. Billy won't have the same fancy graphics as me, but it's not all about that. It's about the commentary. It's about the quality, and Billy will bring you the quality commentating from Saturday afternoon. So there you go. Home games will now be covered on the Toon Review as well. Alex, you wanted to drop one thing in there?
Yeah. So about Eliot Anderson, if you want to, when the video ends, if you want to put in the comments, or not in the live comments, but once it's finished, you can pop down. There's only 2 players that are actually getting higher ratings this season than Eliot Anderson in our squad. So little quiz for you if you want to put down who the 2 highest rated players are for us. And also, if you want to drop down as a 3rd player, a transfer suggestion to talk about for tomorrow's show. So maybe we can throw in some of your guys' suggestions and opinions to tack onto the show. So,
Cool.
So three players.
Excellent. Well, there you go, guys. Lots to look forward to. Put down in the comments after the show what Alex has just said there, and have a bit of a competition. But thank you very much, everybody, for watching. It's been a great Sunday evening. Nice, chilled out, great conversation with you guys as well. And me and Alex will see you back tomorrow night. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Take care and be kind. Good night.
Away the lads.